What if we took Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player ever, and dropped him into one of the hardest times to score in NHL history? We're talking about the dead puck era, the late 2000s. Back then, defense was strong, goalies were nearly unbeatable, and scoring was way down. It was nothing like the fast, wide-open 80s and 90s where Gretzky made his name. But here's the big question. Could Gretzky still dominate in that kind of game? Would he break records? Or just be another star? How would the Great One survive in an era where even 100 points was rare? Today on Puck Nuts, we find out, setting the stage. If you're into hockey, legends, and fun, what-if stories, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Puck Nuts for more. Let's hit the ice. Setting the stage, we start by putting Wayne Gretzky with a perfect 99 rating on the 1979 to 1988 Edmonton Oilers. It's the same team he made famous in the 80s, but now things are different. This version of the Oilers wasn't bad, but they weren't great either. They had a few good forwards like Dustin Penner, Ilse Hemsky, and a young Sam Gagner. Still, it wasn't a superstar lineup. Let's hit the ice. The goalie was decent, not someone who could steal games on his own. And the defense? Let's just say they weren't exactly shutting teams down. So right from the start, it was clear Gretzky would have to carry a lot of weight. This wasn't the high-flying Oilers team he used to lead. Now, it was about finding a way to win in a tighter, slower, more defensive NHL. Could Gretzky still shine in this kind of game? That's the question we were about to answer. Gretzky's first season. In his first season, playing in this tough, low-scoring era, Gretzky reminded everyone why he's known as the Great One. He scored 50 goals and racked up 118 points. That's a crazy number, especially in the dead puck era, where even getting to 100 points was super rare. But Gretzky made it look easy. Of course, he had some help. Ilse Hemsky had a strong season with 80 points, and Dustin Penner added 33 goals. Early exit in the playoffs. Other players on the team also stepped up and played their part. But there was no doubt who the leader was. Gretzky didn't just lead his team, he led the entire NHL in scoring. Thanks to his huge impact, the Oilers ended the season with 96 points. That was enough to squeeze into the playoffs as the 8th seed. It wasn't a championship-level team, but with Gretzky, they were suddenly dangerous again. He had changed everything. Early exit in the playoffs. Sadly, the dream didn't last very long. In the first round of the playoffs, the Edmonton Oilers went up against the San Jose Sharks, and it didn't go well. The Sharks were a strong team with big names like Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, and they proved to be too much. Edmonton got swept, losing all 4 games in the series. Gretzky tried his best and managed to score 2 goals, but even he couldn't save the team this time. Awards and honors. The rest of the Oilers struggled too. They just couldn't keep up. It was a hard way to end the season after such an exciting year. The playoffs ended quickly for Gretzky and his team, and they were sent home early. Later, the Detroit Red Wings would go on to win the Stanley Cup. So, while Gretzky brought magic back to Edmonton, it just wasn't enough to go all the way. Awards and honors. Even without playoff success, Gretzky cleaned up at the awards. He took home the Art Ross, Most Points, the Hart Trophy, League MVP, and the Ted Lindsay, Most Outstanding Player. Not bad for someone thrown into a totally different era. Season 2. Even better numbers. In his second year, Gretzky didn't slow down. He got even better. He scored 54 goals and finished with 127 points, which was just crazy for that time. The Oilers had a great season too. They ended up as the 3rd best team in the whole league with 111 points. That's a big jump from the year before. The team around him also got stronger. Hemsky, Penner, and Cogliano all played better, and the goalie had an awesome season with 40 wins and some strong numbers. But once again, Gretzky was the star. He led the entire NHL in scoring, and no one else was even close. This season showed something important. Gretzky's talent wasn't just from playing in the 80s. Even in a tougher time, when it was harder to score, he still dominated. He didn't just keep up with the game, he took over. A deeper playoff run. This time, Edmonton made it to the conference finals. They battled hard but fell short in Game 7 against the Columbus Blue Jackets, who eventually won their first Stanley Cup. Gretzky had 12 goals and 20 points in 20 playoff games, a solid performance. Others like Cogliano and Hemsky also played well. But it wasn't enough to go all the way. More trophies for the Great One. For the second year in a row, Gretzky won the Art Ross, the Hart Trophy, and the Ted Lindsay. He was still dominating. But still, no Stanley Cup. Season 3, a setback. In the third season, things didn't go the way anyone hoped. The Oilers took a step back and missed the playoffs. Their final record was 38 wins, 34 losses, and 10 overtime losses. Not terrible, but not good enough to keep playing after the regular season. Still, Gretzky did what he always does. He scored 51 goals and ended the season with 114 points. That was the best in the league, again. But the rest of the team just couldn't keep up. The goalie had a rough season, and that really hurt their chances. No matter how good Gretzky was, he couldn't carry the whole team by himself. Even though he won the Art Ross Trophy once more, you could feel the frustration starting to build. He was giving everything, playing at the highest level, but the team wasn't going anywhere. Something needed to change. Season 4. Just hanging on. By now, Gretzky was 31 years old in the simulation. He was still the highest-rated player in the game, 99 overall. But something felt different. The energy wasn't the same. That season, he had his lowest stats so far, 38 goals and 82 points. That's still really good, but for someone like Gretzky, it felt like a slow year. The Oilers made the playoffs again, which was a good sign. But they couldn't go far. They were knocked out in the second round by the Washington Capitals. On paper, the team looked stronger, but when it really counted, they just couldn't find that spark. Even though his scoring dropped, Gretzky still made a big impact. He won the Selke Trophy for his strong defense. It showed that even if he wasn't scoring like before, he was still helping his team in other important ways. He was changing, but he was still great. Time to leave Edmonton. After 4 seasons and no cup, Gretzky had enough. It was time for a change. In this simulation, he requested a trade out of Edmonton. A wheel was spun to pick a new team, and fate landed him in Toronto. That's right. The Great One was now a Maple Leaf. Season 5, Toronto Blues. Gretzky decided to join the Toronto Maple Leafs, hoping this move would finally bring him closer to winning another Stanley Cup. The team had a few strong players like Matt Sundin, Andrew Ponikarovsky, and Jason Blake. But once again, it wasn't enough. The rest of the team just couldn't keep up. Toronto had a rough season. They didn't even make the playoffs and ended near the bottom of the league with only 77 points. It was disappointing, especially for someone like Gretzky, who gave it everything. Still, Gretzky played like a star. He scored 46 goals and got 110 points all by himself. He kept showing up, doing his part. But by now, it was clear he was getting tired of carrying teams on his back. No matter how great he was, he couldn't do it all alone. One final spin, Vancouver Canucks. After another tough season, the simulation gave Gretzky one last team. This time, the Vancouver Canucks. But this team was different. He now had real help, playing with the Sedin twins, Ulrich and Daniel, who were smart, skilled, and worked well with him. Plus, they had Roberto Luongo in goal, one of the best goalies of that era. Season 6. A strong final run. In his final simulated season, Gretzky finally had a strong team around him. The Vancouver Canucks were loaded with talent. Ulrich and Daniel Sedin were skilled playmakers, and Roberto Luongo stood tall in goal. With this support, Gretzky looked like his old self again. He scored 58 goals and racked up 124 points. The team won 50 games and finished first in their division. It felt like everything was finally coming together. Game 7. Heartbreak ends the dream. But in the playoffs, things fell apart. The Canucks faced the Minnesota Wild in the first round, and the series went all the way to Game 7. Despite Gretzky's best effort, 6 goals and 11 points in the series, Vancouver lost. Minnesota went on to win the Stanley Cup. Once again, the The dream of Gretzky winning a cup in the modern era came to a heartbreaking end. Awards and recognition continue. Even without winning in the playoffs, Gretzky still walked away with a bunch of awards. He won the Hart, Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and even the Selke for his defense. In a time when scoring was low and defense was tough, Gretzky stayed great. No one else was that consistent. Final thoughts. So, what did we learn? Even in the tough, low-scoring dead puck era, Wayne Gretzky still found a way to shine. He didn't win a cup in this simulation, but he led in scoring, lifted weak teams, and proved that true greatness works in any time. Can you imagine watching Gretzky play today? Still making magic, still leading, still the great one. Does this mean he could have been the best in any era? We think so. And even though this was just a what if, it reminds us why we love hockey and why Gretzky's legacy will never fade. What team would you want to see Gretzky on next? Could he win a cup with today's Oilers? Or maybe carry the Coyotes to glory? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Puck Nuts for more hockey deep dives. See you next time.